The number one biggest mistake homeowners make is giving the real estate agent too much information. But it's not your fault. Real estate agents have numerous tricks up their sleeve to get information out of unsuspecting buyers. But if you stick around to the end, I will reveal the 5 biggest tricks real estate agents use against you so you're armed and ready next time you go to a home inspection. If that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around. What do you think it's worth? They will ask you, what do you think it's worth? Now, this usually happens at a home inspection or maybe even in a follow-up call on a Monday morning. What they're really asking you here is how much finance or what's your upper limit that you're willing to pay for the property. It's a bit of psychology and it's a bit of a sneaky question because they're framing it very casually, like they're just having a normal chat, like, oh, what do you think it's worth? Sounds like something your friend would ask you at a barbecue when you're talking about real estate, when you're looking at the neighbor's house. But there is some psychology behind this. They are trying to gather some information out of you. They are trying to find the upper limit that you are willing to pay, and they'll use this against you in later negotiations. The best way to handle this question is to put the question back on the real estate agent. Ask them, I'm not really sure, what do you think it's worth? Or say, we need to carry out some more research in the area, which you should actually be doing, but just say to the real estate agent that you haven't done enough research, you're still trying to find out what houses are selling for in the area and you haven't carried out proper research yet, so you're not really sure. But if you're really smart, you might lowball the agent. If the property is worth $1 million based on your research, but the agent doesn't know that you've done your research, you might say to them, probably about 900,000, which is 10% below market value. If the agent is kind of agreeable, like, yeah, that sounds okay, that might indicate to you that there isn't a lot of interest in the property. There hasn't been an awful lot of offers and buyers aren't really lining up to buy this property. If, however, they balk at it, then you know that you're way wide of the mark and there's possibly even offers way above that offer. So you might have to adjust your strategy come offer time. There's a lot of interest in this one. So this is a classic trick. Anyone who's been on a phone call with an agent on a Monday or Tuesday morning when they're following up after inspections and you've been a bit interested in the property and perhaps you even let the agent know, which is a big no-no, they'll of course tell you there's an awful lot of interest in the property, we've had an awful lot of offers, this one's going to sell fast, put your best foot forward, don't waste any time. All this is trying to create a sense of urgency, trying to create FOMO around the property, telling you things like it's once in a lifetime opportunity, there's no house like it in the area. All of these phrases are tactics to try and create FOMO, try and create urgency, and trying to invoke fear in you as the buyer that you're going to miss out this property and that you're never going to get a home if you don't buy this one, which of course isn't true. Ultimately, what the agent is trying to do is 1, submit an offer, and 2, submit a very strong high offer, ideally higher than the previous offer from the other buyer. Chances are there is actually another buyer. If you're living in a place like Sydney in a competitive market, there probably is another buyer. The agent probably isn't lying to you. However, they are going to still try and create that urgency and FOMO and try and get you to outbid the other offer. They may even tell you to put an offer in pre-auction, and if you put in a good enough offer, it'll be enough to secure the property. However, most of the time, really all they're trying to do is gauge how much interest there is in the property and if it is going to sell at auction. Agents want the properties to go to auction. If you live in a state like New South Wales or Victoria, where auctions are very prevalent, it's in the agent's best interest to go to auction. They get an awful lot of publicity at auction. If it sells, all the neighbours see that it was sold and it was sold for a good price. And if they're kind of on the fence about selling, that agent has now put on a good show for them on a Saturday morning. They are probably more likely to go to that agent to get the same result. So after putting in your pre-auction offer, they might never go to the vendor with this offer, you don't know, and they might come back to you and say, we're just going to go ahead with the auction, it wasn't enough. Your best chance here is to try and understand the vendor's reasons for selling. If the vendor is selling because they're downsizing, potentially they're an older couple and their family's now moved out and they no longer need the bigger house, you can put in not only a strong price offer, but good terms. You could offer a longer settlement, which might allow them to buy the new property that they want to downsize into. They might look at this very favorably and might actually accept your offer before going to auction. Agents are legally obliged to present any offers on the property to their vendor. So if price isn't the most important thing to the vendor, then putting in a good, detailed, strategic offer based on the vendor's reason why might get you the property before it goes to auction. So to recap, just assume every single property that you are interested in is going to have a lot of interest in, and the agent is going to tell you that. Ignore that. Expect that the agent's just trying to create a bit of urgency. Try and understand the vendor and why they're trying to sell. And if price is the most important thing to the vendor, it's probably going to go to auction regardless of your offer. Number 3 is silence. Again, a very, very common tactic. And what the agent is trying to do here is to make you uncomfortable. So you'll try and fill the gap and give them more information. And all they're trying to do every time they call you is gather information that they can use against you later in a negotiation. A common tactic by agent, looking back on the previous point, is to say to you, there's been a lot of interest in the property. Just like that, it was very uncomfortable, and that they're hoping to invoke a bit of uncomfort in you, and then you'll start talking about different sales in the area. You might even tell them that you're under rent pressure and you really want to sell, or you might tell them that you're on your second pre-approval and that you need to buy soon so you don't lapse into your third one. Or you might tell them that you have a baby coming next year and you're under a bit of financial stress and you need to buy quick to get the baby somewhere to live. Honestly, when people are uncomfortable, they will just say anything to fill the silence. And once you start talking about your financial position, your personal position, or your budget, the agent can use all of that stuff against you. So again, a common tactic, but an easy way to work back on this is just to reverse the question that they just asked you and put it back on the agent. Again, if the agent says we've had multiple interest on this property and then goes silent, you can counteract this question with, has there been a contract of sale offered to the vendor? And this gives you a chance to repeat that tactic right back on them. Then you go silent. Let them answer. Let them babble away and try and give you a good answer. The ironic part about this is agents will often call you and then pretty much interrogate you as if you called them. They'll call you up and then start asking you a lot of questions, make you feel uncomfortable and get a lot of information out of you. Then you hang up the phone going, what was all that about? They called me. So remember, when in doubt, just reverse the exact question you've been asked and put it back on the agent. Controlling the conversation. Number 4, they try and control the conversation. So again, this is touching on the previous 2 points, but an agent will usually call you up and then they will start interviewing you, start asking you a lot of questions about your interest, how much you love it. They might even ask you about your budget. Don't ever tell them. And they might even say to you, if you've been looking in the area, how much you know about the market. They're trying to gauge how formidable an opponent you're going to be come negotiating time, and are trying to gather as much information that they can use against you in negotiating. Because again, remember, the agent works for their client, i.e. the vendor. So they're trying to do the best job they can for their vendor. So flip this on the agent. You control the conversation. Anytime they ask you a question, just reverse the question back on them if you're not comfortable revealing the answer to that question. Don't tell them your budget. At least give them a minimum. If you have a budget of up to $1 million, tell them you're looking for properties north of 900K. If they ask you if you bid on any properties in the past, they're looking to see if you've missed out at auction, if you have any pain in the market, and if you're desperate to just get over the line as a buyer. Some people who have been on their buying journey for months on months are more likely to just buy a property to get over the whole buying journey than someone who's fresh out there and full of energy. So again, by asking you, have you bid on any properties? Have you been out at inspections? They're trying to gauge how long into your buying journey you are. Again, so they can use this against you if you're sick and tired and fed up with the whole buying journey. Again, just revert back into the research phase. We're just doing our research. We're trying to get a good understanding of the market. If the agent controls the conversation, they're more likely to get the information that they want. If they ask a leading question and then go silent, and you start babbling about how the house has future development, then they are probably going to go to their database of anyone that they've worked with previously that's into development or who does development in the area. They're going to tell them, I've got a property here that has development potential, and they'll sell it off to them. They don't care who they sell it to. They get paid when they sell. So if they can sell a property for a good price, quick and easy, through their database, they will pick that every day rather than having to deal with multiple buyers and multiple house inspections. They're not working for you. And finally, they will make you feel like they're working for you. This is the most common complaint I hear from home buyers, especially first-time home buyers, because the agent comes over and makes them feel like they're out there looking for a property specifically for their brief. Nothing could be further from the truth. A listing is a listing to an agent. They don't really care what type of property it is, how many bedrooms it has, what suburb it is. They will get a property and they will sell it and then they get paid. That's ultimately all they want to do, and they want to do the best job for their vendor. However, they don't ultimately care, you as a buyer, what type of property you want, because you are not paying them. Yes, some agents are very niche down. You will find in certain pockets, certain agents work in a certain price point, maybe with even a certain type of property as well. However, if an agent is known to sell houses in the $2 million property range, if someone rings them up and has an apartment to sell and they think they can sell the apartment pretty easy, there's no way they'll turn it down. They'll of course sell that property. And if that apartment happens to fit your brief, great, you might be able to buy that property off the agent, but they were not out there hammering the phone all week trying to find that specific property just for you. It was just a coincidence that they got a listing for a property that fitted your brief. Agents only work for the seller. That's the person that pays them, and they are legally bound to that person as their client. They cannot accept commissions from the buying and selling side. It's a conflict of interest. They only accept commissions from the selling side. Anyone who's been out to auctions over the weekend will see agents coming up to losing parties, to the losing buyers, come up, give them a pat on the back and say, we'll look for something that fits your brief. No, they're not. What that roughly translates to is, I'm going to keep going out there and trying to get as many listings as I can. I'm going to keep you in the loop, and maybe I'll be able to pigeonhole you into a property that I have for sale that you're just fed up with the whole buying process and you'll just buy a property because you want to get over the whole process. They are not out there looking for a property specifically for you. So to recap, and what are the key takeaways from this? I don't want this to sound like you should ignore agents and that just talking to them is the worst thing you can ever do. No, you should definitely be talking to your agents regularly, because they might have a property that does fit your brief. But if you're not talking to them regularly and you're not top of mind, they're not going to reach out to you. So you should be talking to agents regularly. However, you should not be giving away a lot of information and falling to the common real estate agent tricks that they employ on unsuspecting buyers. So keep yourself armed, be coy when you need to be, and reverse questions back on agents when you feel like they're trying to dig and they're trying to gather a bit of information. So if an agent is trying to understand your financial position, if an agent is trying to understand your buying experience, and if an agent is trying to understand the reason why you're buying and how urgently you need to buy, I would keep your cards close to your chest if any of those topics come up with the agent. Other than that, be friendly, be courteous, and they're just trying to do their job at the end of the day. So don't get too mad at them. They are doing a great job for their vendor. Everybody hates agents except the agent's clients. Anyway, guys, hope all that helped. My name's Andy. Thanks for watching.